Hello, friends, and welcome to this month's community Q&A and gameplay event. You thought it wasn't going to happen. I don't know why you thought that. I told you it was going to happen so often, but here we are. I'm sure you didn't think it wasn't going to happen. I don't know. I'm just assuming things about you. But enough about me and you. Let's get to know our guests who are with us this week. Hello. How's everybody doing?
Doing all right.
Hi.
You're pretty good. I mean, like asking a room full of like weird internet people how they're doing is like, oh, I'm doing amazing. It's always like, yeah, I mean, I have to keep going, huh?
You got to keep going. You got to keep going. And speaking of keeping going, Hauke, I'm sure everyone here already knows who you are. But if they don't, and if for some reason they didn't watch last month's Q&A, you should go and check that out. But if they don't, let them know who you are and what you do here, my friend.
Yeah, I'm Hauke. Hey, nice to be seen by you. I'm the creative director at Blankhans. I'm responsible for stuff that creative directors do, mostly overlooking things and being corrected by others because my initial idea was a little stupid. But yeah, that's what I do.
Hey, man, you know, that's the point of a team, right? You're all going to come together and work on a vision, right?
You come together. I try to dictate things and then realize that I was wrong.
We all work together. We all work together to tell Hauke how wrong he was about something.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, next up we have Kay. Kay, welcome. Let the people know who you are and what you do here at Blankhans.
Hi, I'm Kay. I'm the narrative designer. Now I'm getting all confused at this point at Blankhans. So my responsibility is mainly, as you always say so nicely, keeper of the lore, so to say. And yeah, that's what I do here.
Oh yeah, people on the Discord know that whenever I get a question that involves anything slightly beyond my expertise, which can mostly be a lot, I was like, I am going to speak with the keeper of the law. Okay. And then a Slack message is said for, okay, what? So say a headness was doing this, and
yeah, I mean, she knows it better than I do at this point. So yeah.
Right? Always the first protocol, keeper of the law. Next up, we have Eri. Eri, how you doing? Welcome to the Q&A. And if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell people what you do here at Blankhans.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Ari. I'm our senior gameplay designer. And yeah, I gameplay design things in a senior fashion. A lot of systems design and writing things in Confluence, which is our wiki, and doing things on whiteboards. A lot.
Nice, yeah. Man. You still got a whiteboard? Nice.
Well, yeah. You got to do some things on a real whiteboard every now and then before you do it on the digital one.
Man, I remember when in a previous job I had, we got ourselves just like, you know, that kind of wall stuff you can get that's just whiteboard?
Yeah.
We made a whole wall that, and it was one of the most glorious things I've ever been a part of. I was like, oh, I could just, if I forget something.
Yeah, they have like whiteboard paint. So you can just
the
whole wall
also
like that.
magnetic paint under it so that you can also put magnets
exactly.
on it.
You do that first. Yeah, and there's like chalkboard paint even too. So if you wanted to use chalk, it's nuts, people. Yeah.
Smart stuff. So what I want to do is get to know you guys as you haven't been here before, and this might be the first time the community is getting to know you. So Kay, what I wanted to know is, how did you come to the world of Coreborn? As I understand it, yourself and Hauke have been working together for a little while now.
Yeah, that's true. Me and Hauke have been working together for a few years at this point. I'm not sure, different projects. We did some board games, some interactive audiobooks, all that sorts of stuff. And yeah, Hauke kind of grabbed me and said, hey, how do you feel about working on Coreborn? So I was like, yay. And yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here, and super happy about it.
Yeah. Interactive audiobooks. That is interesting, because I've always had that as something that would be really cool in my head. What's an interactive audiobook?
So it is something that on paper works incredibly well.
Yeah.
It's super fun and it's really great, but flopped.
Oh, really? Okay,
so basically what we did is an app where like you can experience a story, and at different points in the story, which is quite a lot of points actually, you can decide how the story should develop. And the initial idea was that it is Alexa based, which was kind of a good idea, but also bombarded the whole project a lot because Amazon very regularly changes very tiny things that most apps are not that affected by. But for example, in the beginning, Alexa could only reply for 1 minute and 20 seconds in a row, which meant that she can only speak for 1 minute and 20 seconds, and then she would return to being Alexa and not just continue speaking what we told her to say or what we told our voice to say. And then later 4 minutes and then 3 minutes and things like that. But that's how that worked. And Kay and me wrote the stories for it. So at some point, we were probably the only professional authors for interactive audiobooks, which turned out great. Like, they are amazing. And the app is still on the store, I think, as Campfire Stories.
Ooh, there you go. Campfire Stories. Check it out, because, yeah, that sounds really cool. So, Kay, yourself and Hauke have basically just been writing stories together for all this time? How did that come about? Like, how did you guys meet?
I think it was much about that time when Hauke was looking for kind of an assistant position, since he got overwhelmed with all the requests he got, and beyond that, a few things. And at that time, I was still studying biology and was actually looking for just something to do on the side. And that was when I approached him and said, "Hey, that's me," and sent him like a few scripts I did and short stories and introduced myself. And yeah, that kind of worked somehow, kind of worked out. Still wondering about that up until today, but considering
so
myself very
overly
lucky.
humble. I received 80
Okay, yes.
applications for that position, which was not just an assist, was a co-writer. I, at that time, was only writing, and on my stream mentioned I am starting the process of looking for someone, which of course is a very sought-after position, to be an like fictional narrative writer and being basically paid full-time for it. And Kay's application was by far the best. So yeah, I was very happy when I received those prints, because I immediately realized that there's a genius applying here. Like, I keep saying Kay is by far the best writer I've ever worked with.
Yeah, the stuff Kay does is amazing. And saying biology makes a ton of sense, because this is something that's going to come...
I also didn't know that. I also studied biology. I did not know that you did that too.
Yeah.
We all
That's the thing.
follow the
Maybe
same
now
path.
someone
Yeah.
asks, how do I become a professional writer? I'm like, study biology.
Biology first, yes.
This is going to say makes sense, and it's something I think the audience will see more and more in time, because we're going to have more and more stuff coming out. But like, you go through our internal documents about creatures and the peoples of the world, and there's so much information in there that makes them feel so real, and that kind of biological background kind of makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, that connects a few dots in my head.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm like,
oh, okay. That's why they're like that.
Yeah, and also just why this stuff's so smart. Like, there's a ton
Yeah,
of
it's
stuff in there.
ridiculous how much sense they make sometimes. Because I say, it would be cool if we had a chicken with 4 legs and it's pretty buff. And then Kay writes 7 pages on the internal like mating process and how they nest on cliffs and stuff like that. It's like really good.
Yeah. It's amazing stuff. So moving on, before we get into the questions, Airy, as I understand it, you were one of the first employees here at Blank Hands. How did that come about, before we get into your role and everything?
Yeah, no, I blind applied. It was a listing on this website called Work with Indies. They're very remote friendly. I'm currently in Australia. I am clearly American, but I live in Australia because my partner's Australian. And was trying to find a job in games. We moved here, gotta get a new job, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll try this remote thing. And then it saw a position on that site. It was like, oh, we need someone who can do this, and that, and Unreal, and this is a survival game. And I was like, yeah, all right, why not? I was applying to whatever I could find, and had the interviews. They went great. Sounded like a fun project. And then got that job, and it's sort of been way more than I thought it was going to be from when I first came on, but in all the good ways, and so many, and in only good ways.
Yeah. No, I mean, back then
but
we were still a prototype project with 5 people, so yeah, it changed a lot.
Yeah, no, my first day I created like the Unreal project for our prototype. Like we were like, it was like I came in and there was just like like the founders had their like a Google Drive full of like their vision, the various documents and stuff that they like put together. And it was kind of like, go, like, let's start at this point and see, see how we go.
I mean, it sounds like you found a similar thing to me. that if you want it, there is a lot of autonomy there within this company. I mean, it's I imagine it's the same for UK. Like it's a thing where it's a reality of us being a smaller team, but it's also, I would say, a very big advantage of the job in that there's a lot of different things you can do and a lot of ways you can grow. Like, have you found that in time, Ari? Like working, like you said,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think without a doubt, if anything, and especially the fact that we're a remote company, we're all around the globe. That level of autonomy like goes really hand in hand with being in different time zones from people. Oftentimes, like I said, I'm in Australia, like Hauke's in Germany, Hauke's in Japan. Like Kay, like you guys are all like scattered throughout Europe. The nature of us being in different time zones means that there's a lot of, hours of my day that I necessarily can't work with someone, or the autonomy really is almost like, I don't want to say required, but it's like it's heavily valued, because there's time that you can't always get approval from someone. You can't always check, let's think on this, let's do that, let's do this. You're not working the same 8 hours that everyone else is. So the autonomy is really, really handy there to be able to say, okay, I can move forward in a direction, and everyone is kind of operating under the same belief system here, right? Where it's like, we like regularly say whenever there's like a new hire is like, always move forward. Like, it's if you do something and it turns out you have to change it later because it's the wrong thing, or it's not whatever. That's better than you saying, well, I was blocked and I can't do anything. Like, we always want to move, like in how we work, and people that can really take advantage of that, I think, feel most empowered by that.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely something I've learned whilst working here, because I mean, the default for most companies is there's some sort of problem, just stop, just don't do any more until you know the answers. And that's always that's what you're sort of conditioned to think through the workplace. But yeah, it's been very nice here that it is kind of, well, okay, I can just keep doing stuff, and then someone will say, how's that going? And you show it to them, they go, no, that's wrong. You just go, oh, okay, cool, change it.
Some schools, like some game schools, even teach you that, like, oh, if you're a junior, don't you dare do anything that wasn't explicitly asked of you. And that's like something that we kind of have to like make sure we tell people, like, no, this is like,
yeah, it sounds like my nightmare of a company, like where everyone only does what you tell them.
Right. It's like, no, I'm not, this isn't a power trip, right? We're all together working on something creative. Like you made it through the door, like you're in, like, so let's like work on a game together,
100%.
But
yeah, and I've noticed that something like working with yourself, Kay, is whenever it comes to lore things, we're very, like, because we're in development, and this is set before the world everyone already knows in Ultracore, Coreborn can be a little more fluid, and it's kind of nice that problems or questions or anything will come up, and I'll say to you, like, oh, so how does this do this, and this, and you're like, okay, let me think on it. And then you'll just go, well, maybe it could be this and this and this and this and this and this. I imagine that's quite a fun process for you, like the whole like that and that and that, and it's canon now. There you go.
It's actually super fun because it's not just having a topic and then just taking forever and thinking on it and pondering on it. So you come up with something that's super logical, but sometimes it's just the first idea that seems fun is possible in Coreborn. So it's, since, as Hauke always says, we don't have this super serious 100% logical high fantasy world, you can just sometimes come up with stuff that's simply and just fun. And you can think about an explanation later, or you can just don't and say, okay, that's how it works. But yeah, it's part of the process to just come up with something very spontaneously and just have it out there, and then it exists. So it fuels a lot of the creativity you have.
Yeah, I bet, right? Well, I tell you what, we should move on to questions for the community, because for the last week, I have been gathering questions from people on Discord. We got an official Reddit now, so we've got questions from Reddit, we got questions from YouTube, all over the place. Because Da Vinci had another question, which specifically for Ari. How does the task of senior gameplay designer differ from normal gameplay designers?
Yeah, so often, and maybe a bit more generalized, but especially in the tech industry, but generally in our case with games, within roles, you have junior level, mid-level, and senior level. Oftentimes, they imply how long you've been doing that job for, what authority you have within your discipline, things like this. So, as a senior gameplay designer, it comes with the authority, a bit more ability to make those like kind of higher level decisions, to work more directly at like the vision and like direction of a lot of things. I also like, help with a lot of production planning things. I help with engineering where I can. Like I become then the kind of the focal point for the discipline in general as well. If someone's got a question about how, whatever works, it's like, well, we'll go ask Ari about it. And then, maybe I'll say, oh, okay, we'll go ask someone else about it. But it's like seniors kind of become the de facto like leads kind of. We don't formally have leads, but the like, spokespeople of those within those disciplines. And then it's also worth pointing out in our case, we're saying gameplay design and game design kind of interchangeably sometimes. But we also have level designers on our team, and that is explicitly something that I don't do. So when I say gameplay design, like gameplay and level sit together under the game design umbrella. And so that's kind of like at least a way that we often organize. Everyone kind of does it a little differently, and little bits and pieces are different, but for us, that's how we're structured. So.
Makes a ton of sense. We have another question for Da Vinci, which, as I understand it, can be answered quite quickly. Will it be possible to design some kind of statues / gargoyles, etc., to make your home more personal, or is a carving tool kind of hard to implement in the game?
It is very hard to implement that. It is incredibly hard to basically moderate the content that comes out of it. And I think I don't have to say the word penis for everyone to understand that there will be a lot of those. When, like, generally, it is an incredibly neat idea that is really hard to design. And I don't think it gives enough in an early stage of this game benefit to the gameplay nature of our game to really give us a reason to invest that time. It's super cool idea, and maybe at a later point, but most games are very careful with how much they allow users to generate visible content for other players. And I think we are not yet at a point where we are brave enough to do that.
Yeah, and not even to mention the technical difficulty of the actual user experience there, of like a player saying, okay, I want to build this, and what is their input method? Are you doing it with your mouse, with a controller? Is it like VR? Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. So
we're cross-platform, so that is really hard. Which, on a mobile device, it might be easier, but you have to completely separately design that system.
Makes a ton of sense. Moving on to another question from Discord. Budakex, which is a name I've learnt to pronounce since our last time. They have a chicken or the egg kind of question. When you come up with a new gameplay element, do you design the gameplay first and fit it into your existing lore later? Or do you first check if it will conform with the world you have created before adding it into the game as a mechanic? Now, this sounds like all of you combined into one nice question as how this whole thing works. So, yeah, it's an interesting question. So I guess to all of you, like, how does this kind of thing work?
Yeah, I can get started on it and feel free.
I would feel this
to jump in.
Please get started.
We generally, as like a game or company-wide philosophy, say that we're design first. But that by no means implies an importance or priority or anything. It's purely about accountability. Honestly, if anything, it's like, where do things start? How do we like track these? What order does it go through? And because so much of like game design is saying like let's say we want a town system and players can add whatever they like, build things with their friends and this and that. That kind of idea gets like fleshed out by someone like me, and a bit on like usually on a boring website like on our wiki, and maybe I'll add some visuals where I possibly can, and then I'll shoot that over.
That's the general answer. Yeah, like it is most of the time design first, and then comes lore, and we're more willing to, in the first step, adjust lore, but generally in the second step, design is adjusted to the already existing lore, but in a very creative way, where I often feel like this. Yeah, I can't give too much of an example. We're currently working on something that is linked to towns, where there were some like breakthrough moments where someone said, how about we make this a relay tower and you get a piece of the Ultracore and you charge it up with energy for the shield. And I was like, yeah, of course. That makes so much sense. And it's such a better idea than what we initially had.
Nice.
A good example.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sure. I think a good example, too, is like, I don't know, let's say I was like, oh, one of our weapons should be a spear, you know, and you can like do cool spear moves or something. And then, you know, maybe hand that off to like, oh, you know, hey, Kay, I think a spear would be cool. What do you think about that? And then Kay can come back and say, well, actually, the hedonist guards used to use spears back in, you know, and it's like, it goes into this whole deep thing. And then that informs back to me. Oh, okay. Well, then when I start thinking about these spear moves and how they work and what are the thematic elements at play here, Kay's already done that groundwork. And then that's the story coming back into the game design side for the content to really be fleshed out well. And then so that's that kind of back and forth of how we all, you know, work together to kind of make the thing as good as it can be.
I also think that these are like our greatest moments when we're just coming together from all departments and just have this ping pong of ideas and all kind of build up. We always start with this design aspect or the groundwork being done by the design, since that's kind of what we require. But once we all sit together, it's really just a back and forth, as Ari said. And just the ideas grow so much and just organically and really fast and still make a lot of sense in every aspect. So I think that's how the game grows the best as well.
Yeah.
Agreed. Curious Giant Squid on Reddit has got a question and also got instances of what I should ask if the answer is yes or no. So Curious Giant Squid, nicely done. Curious Giant.
We got an interactive
question.
Choose your own.
Yeah, you got two paths. Originally, I thought that the survival aspect of the game will only happen on private instances that only me and my friends could join. Now that we know there will be others running around on the same map, will these people be always the same people? Now you have a yes or no.
So I cannot answer that with yes or no. Like Ari and me already spoke about this. I think, and I think that is in most cases when someone asks me, so here's a fact, and then is a question, the fact is wrong.
Yeah.
So
okay, go ahead.
There is something in between private instances and completely public servers, and that is what we are doing. When you join the game, you get allocated to a server, which is based on what progress your character has, if there's accounts maybe that you've already played with that are on that server, and you can potentially join a different server, but that is based on conditions and not something that you do regularly. Let's assume you have a home server where your character is located and that's where you live. And that is the same for the other people on that server. And there's also later a question about numbers, so I'll not go into that too much right now. So you play with the same people on your survival server that you regularly see. These might be your friends, strangers that become your friends, or people that I want you to become your friends. And when you visit then Coreheim, for example, our social hub, you will meet people from all other servers. And you might visit them in their home worlds and see what they've built, and then be encouraged to permanently join their home worlds. So at that point, you're not a stranger to them. And so there is kind of a middle ground here. And scaling is, I think, the next question was, how do you manage scaling when one group is way ahead? There's no reason for me to join them in events as they are way stronger. The general idea of someone being way stronger, I think I cannot stress this enough. This is not, in that case, a competitive game. If someone is ahead of you, that is not necessarily a bad thing for you. But still, we will, of course, matchmake you in the beginning with people who are more in the lines of the progress that you have. You will most likely not join a server where everyone else already has a level 20 town and there's nothing for you to do anymore. Still, a vast majority of your gameplay happens in other instances. In adventures, for example, where you get matchmaked with other people, or the social hub where you get matchmaked with other people. And if, for some reason, you are still on the server... Oh, sorry. For some reason, my camera turned off because I pressed a button. If for some reason you end up on the server and everyone is ahead of you because you've not logged in for days, even though that is technically almost impossible, we will, of course, as soon as slots free up, free these slots up with people that you might be more interested in playing with, or maybe mix you up with people in Adventures or the Social Hub that you might really like and feel like maybe I want to join their server because they are more in the lines of my progress. Plus, our content is designed for replayability. An event is not a quest. I cannot stress this enough. This is not an MMO where I constantly progress, or MMORPG, where I progress through things and then I'm done with them and never have to do them again. An event is a never-ending loop. It happens again and again. It might change a little bit this week, and next week it's different. And there's always a good reason for every type of, like, every level of player to do these events or encourage or support you in doing these events. So there is a lot of assumptions that are for good reason there, because these systems are still quite vague and hard to explain. But you will not be completely out-leveled by the other people on your server. There will be friends and also strangers on your servers, but they are still always a good thing to your own gameplay. You enhance your gameplay through interacting with others, no matter if they have more experience than you or not. Their towns are not something you're completely locked out of. The higher a town gets, the more we will encourage a town to interact with low-level players or low-progress players, because they need you. The more you interact with them, the stronger they get. So, yeah. I guess that's the best answer I can give. As abstract as that seems right now, yeah.
Yeah, it's worth noting that we're pre-alpha at this point, so a lot of stuff is still being worked on and figured out. But I mean, you busted their whole narrative system wide open for a start.
Sure.
But I think we answered the question. They did have some quick, potentially quick follow-up questions. What will prevent other players from disturbing me / griefing? And I think there is a pretty quick answer to this. So, yeah, what would stop that?
Yeah, I mean, we're very explicitly a game that is if you see another player in the world, it's a good thing. It is only ever a good thing. And our design is like intentfully crafted to back that up. You're not always going to be able to stop griefing. There's a degree where if we did like everything in our power to say there's literally nothing you can do, then you like start removing freedoms that players have. Like it's, a little bit, they can't even do much anymore. So in that realm, we want to, through our systems, we make sure that we do everything we can to promote cooperative play. Like there's no PvP, obviously, right? Like this isn't Rust. Like these aren't the kind of things, you're not in danger. But we then say, okay, we're giving you all this freedom, and by playing with other players, you're sort of like implicitly have this trust agreement with everyone. It's on you to lose that trust. And so we want to then lean heavily on content moderation at that side, or on player moderation. If people get reported, if there's behavior that there's repeat offenses, things like that, then we intend to take action on that. It's giving you enough rope to hang yourself with is the expression, right? Like we're trusting you, but you gotta keep that. Like where there's a degree there that there's a relationship and agreement that we kind of have with the players there.
That makes a ton of sense. This may be too in the weeds for this stage, but they talk about rare resources needed to progress. For example, when one group permanently grinds the only nearby sources, it will be harder for the rest. Like, as in, what will you do if you're on a map and someone's already got all of the rare resource and there's nothing you can do about it? Is there any thoughts on that at this stage?
Yeah, so I would say there's kind of a twofold answer to this. One side is, we always be looking at these kind of metrics, see how players are farming resources in certain areas. Like ideally, that's the kind of thing that gets flagged on our side internally through our own metrics monitoring, that these certain areas are happening. We're not necessarily always need to wait on feedback for that. And we can make balancing updates. Oh, maybe this, things need to be a little bit different. We can update the map, do different things there. The other side of this answer is that there are far more things, more ways that you get rare resources in our game than just it's a rare spawn on the map. You can go do adventures. You can go in events. Maybe there's a vendor that only shows up on Sundays in Coreheim. Maybe there's the player market. There's trading with players directly. There's all kinds of avenues to kind of be getting these kinds of things, and especially the higher end, rarest of rare resources, there's a good chance that we're going to be sticking into those systems and not just throwing on the map somewhere for you to get.
So up next from Reddit, and I think I can answer this one myself because we already touched on it earlier when Ari answered a question. You're a big team from many nations. How do contacts come about? That someone from Australia, for example, becomes aware of a small studio in Germany. Now, I know you mentioned work with indies. Ari, was how you found it. And I know that's exactly the same for me in the UK. That was how I became aware of my job, was work with indies. So can't definitely speak to everyone on the team, but I know that's been a big thing for our company, and yeah, they're a great team and a great group of people that have done a lot of good stuff. So yeah,
there is basically three main ways, I would say, how we as one of the three guys who had the honor of building this team, the first being you are incredibly junior, or maybe there's four, like you're incredibly junior and we spoke to university. We have a lot of people in our team, I think 5 at this point, where we had like a presentation at their university, all incredibly talented. We've been very lucky that a lot of them showed interest in us, even though I don't know if everyone knows this. Out of the 5, 4 of them did not visit us this day. But I went through all the portfolios and texted them directly and said, hey, this is a very interesting portfolio. Would you be interested in joining us? Then we had calls after that. And that's so like basically directly from university, which was for us incredibly fortunate, amazing talents. We've gotten like nothing but good experience with that. Yeah. Like outstanding talents still. Showing good work results in your university, that sticks out. I do not know a single grade that any of them ever made. I only saw their work projects and felt like, hey, like for example, Grim, that name appeared 6 times in basically every work project, said, hey, this person needs to be a genius in game design. If out of the 60 game design students that are in this, it's like their name appears in every single project. And then, of course, niche, like Sarafina, for example, where it's like the only animator in the whole university. I was like, interesting. Let's speak. Yeah, then the second is like you joined, Kay, basically talent that we already knew existed, which can be people that have worked in the industry or as our sound designer who have studied it and are not super experienced in games, but showed incredible talent in general. Then the third being work with indies. We directly hired from that page. Super, super cool resource because people have great experience, especially with self-reliant work. A lot of people who've already worked in remote teams, which was interesting that is kind of the only place where you can directly find people with remote experience. And the last is senior employees, which most of them came through either recommendations or we have scouts. Basically, we go to someone who is a talent scout or like anyone from any company that is professionally giving you talent. And yeah, that is, I guess, the fourth way of how to join this company. And of course, you can go to our website, and I guess maybe that's a little bit of an extra because we have very few people, but we have people who were familiar with the brand and specifically learned about it that way, and then went, like Helmut, for example, went to our webpage and saw, hey, there's a job hiring here, and applied.
Nice. That makes a ton of sense. Moving on, we have Curious Giant Squid again from Reddit, and this is, again, more nitty-gritty kind of stuff. What are you planning for inventory management, weight, slots, etc.? Are these things being thought of already? Is this being considered?
Yeah, definitely. And that's an easy answer. We've got slots. We're not doing weight. Often feel like slots and weight is like a double penalty system for inventory, and pretty much everyone hates dealing with weight in games. So slots, your items go into individual slots, and then there's like what we call a stack size. So you got like a piece of wood that takes 1 slot, but let's say you have 20 pieces of wood, that's also 1 slot, but that's now the maximum that can go there. If you were to get 1 more piece of wood, that starts the second spot in the slot.
Nice. Scorp from Discord, will it be possible to host private servers or sessions?
No, not really. So this is also, again, a little bit of a more complex answer. I'll do my best to answer it quick. The general answer is no, mainly because this is an online game that has a shared social hub with a player-driven market. And if we give you your own server and allow you to spawn as much iron ore as you want, you could potentially bombard the player market with it and ruin other people's game experience. So we have not completely said we don't want it, but in the current stage, we're not working on it. In later stages, there is the idea to make that a thing, which would then still be completely separate from the general experience. So if you have your own survival map, you cannot bring resources or progress from that map into the rest of the game, because that is just technically almost like it's just almost impossible. I think if you disagree with that statement, you don't know what you're saying, because we've spoken to every single person. It is almost impossible to do that. There's a good reason no one does this, because it's so hard to check what you've just done, what of the stuff you have on you is basically legal and what isn't, and it's just an incredible task to achieve. And I don't know a single game that properly achieved it. And yeah, it would be interesting if none of the other survival game developers we've spoken to knew that game. So, but interesting if someone knows the game. I'd love to hear it. Still, there will be player-generated content at a later stage. For example, you might be able to make your own adventure happen, or to have a specific session that is like a procedural map where all of you go out to farm resources, which is then only yours, only your friends can be in it, and only you play. Still, it would be based on our rule set. And as soon as it's not our rule set anymore, you're not part of the actual game's ecosystem. And I think that's important to state that and say that. In the first few months, there will be nothing like this. And even if it's there later, it will not be my private server, and then I can still interact with everyone else in the way that I would if I didn't have a private server.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, as you say, it's important to say at this stage that obviously as we're at pre-alpha, a lot of these things are, as Hauke just said, a lot of these things are things that we would like to implement over time, but they're not necessarily things that you're immediately going to see or see at all. So do keep that in mind. There's a lot of stuff you will see at all. That makes it sound like everything's up in that zone. That's not true. So one question from DeBorny in Discord, asking if there'll be voice acting in the game, or will it be like World of Warcraft with sound and lots of text? If so, are you looking for voice actors? But yeah, I guess voice acting, because it comes up later. Slicer actually on YouTube asks about recruiting NPCs and using them for stuff. I guess NPCs in general. Will there be NPCs that you will talk with or anything like that?
Yeah, so I think kind of the quick and dirty answer right now is that we're pretty much text. Voice acting is like a nice to have on our plate. We're so far off from even like really thinking about that, to be fair. There's also maybe like a little bit of the kind of like WoW comparison with maybe thinking about MMORPGs a bit more than you should. We are not like a game with tons of text that is being thrown at you all the time. It is so much more focused on environmental storytelling, the kind of like narrative that's being conveyed through the game systems, through your own engagement with other players. There will be text. It's a video game. There's text in it. Certainly, there's dialogue. Kay's already mentioned that. But it's not going to be the amount that you're probably expecting with a question like this. Yeah. I don't know if you want to, Hauke, maybe you continue or talk about the NPCs.
Yeah, I think generally that is already a good point, because I would have also like kind of thrown that at you and Kay. Active narration is not something that we do excessively. So you basically coming towards an NPC and them telling you a gigantic piece of lore is not an essential part of our gameplay. This is a survival game. You will experience lore, but that kind of leans into the first question, like, what does Kay do? And there is ways of level design or passive storytelling where I do an event, and that event is linked to bandits, and those bandits burn down a town. And then after that town has been burned down and I like help defend it, the bandits return to their own camp. This tells me something. These bandits are against this town. There's something in it that they hate. And after I driven them out, something returns to normal, which considers like this world considers normal. And there is things like that in other games, especially survival games have that often. I think Conan Exiles is a very good example of a game that has a lot of passive narration and then like sprinkles in active narration whenever it's actually only necessary. And I think that's how you will find narration in our game. You might find an NPC that tells you a story, but only because you wanted to hear it. There's no quest chain. You don't follow a long line of NPC talking to you in text or voice. If you hear voice, it's most likely a gibbling telling you a joke or someone screaming, ah, when you hit them with a sword. but there is no excessive voice at this point, and we are not looking for voice actors right now, because if we needed voice, we'll probably use our own as a placeholder. If you've heard Chris in TikToks, you know we have someone on the team.
Hello.
So yeah.
Yeah, Kay, you got to get right in those gibbling jokes, right? Like that's the next stage.
Yay!
Yeah, writing jokes always super easy.
Super easy. Super easy.
Just do it.
Yeah, like just gets. That's the thing about comedy as well. It's really
Say something
easy
funny
for everyone to enjoy it. See, when someone says say something funny, I always just end up making a noise. Like people like say something funny, I'm always just like, what? Like an unexpected noise. That'll always like a fart. Everyone finds a fart funny. That's universal. That crosses barriers. That crosses languages. So the gibbering.
Yeah, if you don't think, I think the less appropriate a fart is, the funnier it is. So the moment where you don't think it's funny anymore, it becomes even funnier. It kind of like.
So at a church or a funeral, or what we're talking about now?
Yeah, farting gibblings.
Like not maybe for me, not for the people involved, but a week later.
Yeah, you know. Anyway, moving on. We have, before I develop that thought process anymore, Shelley Craft on Discord asked, will there be a cap of objects that can be placed in a certain field? It looks like the building system is similar to Ark, other sandbox games where I build very big and nice buildings in the past. There's always a cap to make sure it won't be too laggy. Now, this is something that I will say, if you've been watching our TikToks, I've tried to make clear that the giant structures we've been building in our Friday playtests are not representative of what will be in the game, but so there will be a cap, right? Like that, just
most certainly, and it's pretty much exactly what you hit the nail on the head with the other game comparisons to anything with a modular building system. There's a theoretical maximum of how many things your game can support in the world before your computer lights on fire, before the server explodes, right? There's that like hard cap, whatever that's going to be. We're still working on optimizing, figuring out what that is. There's also systems in place that will prevent you from even ideally getting anywhere near that. Honestly, we talk. I guess I don't know to what degree things have been talked about, but imagine like a stability system so these like impossible structures that you've been showing off in the TikToks. Imagine suddenly gravity matters, or wood has a durability and it goes down based on what's on top of it. Like things like that, suddenly those things would come crashing down, right? Additionally, there's also things we talked about doing like checks in place about footprint size, like on the world. Like what if you built one small thing, but spread the entire environment with it? Like that's another thing we have to make sure that we can like work against. You can only do so much of like of any given area's land can be covered by buildings and things like that. There's always going to be people trying to push these. Ultimately, you're never like incentivized to actually create these structures. Naturally, people will find these boundaries and constraints and push them where necessary. But that's just part of the game, right?
Exactly. Zymlik Harmlos asked. I'm doing well. Come on. I thought that wasn't too bad. I said it and I was like, it's probably fine.
It was really good.
Yeah, I'm getting there. So they asked, and this would be off the back of watching Ultracore episode 5, because if you haven't seen it already, Hauke gave a nice little presentation at the end of it. Also, check it out just because it was really good. But what they didn't get are the numbers Hauke is mentioning. This is something we talked about earlier that we get back to. Sometimes he talks about 200 players on a map. Sometimes he mentions 20. Can you help me understand the difference? Is the 20 intended citizen limit of a town? So I guess this is kind of... easy-ish to clear up, but yeah.
It is, yeah. 200 players can be on a survival server in total, but not playing right now. So 200 people are assigned to that, or 100. I think I said 100, maybe I said 200. It's a random number. We're still, like, as Ari said, fine-tuning when it comes to that. Let's just assume between 100 and 200 are assigned to that survival server. And 20 is the number of people that are live playing right now on that server. If those numbers feel weird, trust us, there's a lot of experience that we have from other survival games we worked on and from just talking to other people. It is generally like the ballpark number we aim for. So 20 people are live right now out of the 200 that are assigned to this survival server. On other servers, that's different, because I already saw on the Discord people saying, 200 for Korheim and this and that. That is based on what part of the game you're in. So for Coreheim, these numbers are completely different. Obviously, they're completely different for an adventure. Let's just assume there's a general number of how many moving things can be here, counting NPC and players. And the less players, the more NPC we can use. And the more NPC, the less players we can use. And yeah, that's how it works. But yeah, 200 was the idea of, just to give any ballpark number, people assigned to a server, 20 being the number of people that can, in that moment, live play on that server. And yes, if you cannot join a server right now, of course, there will be matchmaking in place or waitlist or whatever. Of course, there's a lot of testing, experiencing, seeing how people actually play, at what times they play, and what's the best way to allow for most people to play.
Yep, and that links into our final question coming from FM Shimmer on Discord. Speaking of testing and all that stuff, it's one I can probably answer as well. They noticed on the stream that you said you should report for the alpha in February here in the Discord, or is it enough to have already registered for it on the homepage? I can tell you this, that the Discord is the place to be if you want to be a part of the alpha. February is, I believe, what we're aiming for, but, you know, we still haven't gone for 100% dates yet, so don't hold us to anything just yet. But to sign up for it, the mechanism will be figured out. I think it might actually be figured out already, but we'll share that with you later. The mechanism will be shared on the Discord. It won't be absolutely everybody, as far as my understanding. You'll need to apply for it, and then, because we can only get so many people in so many things, but the Discord will be the place to be. It won't be available anywhere else. You do need to be a member of our Discord. The link for that will be actually in the description for this video, so do check that out. So if you are interested in potentially being involved in the closed alpha, that will be the place to be. Also, the Discord's just the place to be to get information straight away and all that good stuff. And, you know, I'm there all the time. We're all there mostly all the time, so it's like, come hang out, ask questions. It's a good time. I would say I'm on there every day. Like, I bring in the lore master. Hauke will come in. Like, it's a good time. So yeah, but for the alpha, no 100% dates just yet. That is what we're aiming for, is around February, but not 100% locked in. But Discord, that's the place to be, and you'll be able to apply through there. For now, though, we are going to wrap up our Q&A. We're going to be back after something that you're going to see right now, which is some new gameplay played by Hauke. So enjoy that. Check it out. We'll all be back. I'm springing it on him right now. You better be ready, because you're doing it right now. Go, go, go. Hauke, gameplay, go.
Hello, everyone. Excited to present to you the current state of the game in this month's little update. Of course, disclaimer. This is pre-alpha footage. There's going to be two main things you're probably going to see today. One of them is more like hearing. At some point, the music in the game will start, which will make me have to turn down the volume because it's currently way too loud. Our audio engine is not yet implemented fully. So please bear with me. You might not be able to hear a lot of the environment effects once I did that. And the second being, of course, the general lagginess that you see, which is not really an alpha problem, but more in the Asian server that I sometimes play on, and I think I did the last presentation on, is not yet updated to the current state of the game. So I am playing on a European server. Especially when I fight, you might see some little lagginess that is not really there. That is just because I'm recording here. And yeah, the third thing, I don't even have to mention blockouts, things that happen, little clipping here, that whatever. This is pre-alpha. A lot of it is work in progress. But that also comes with good things, regular updates. Today we're going to talk about general visuals. You already see some of them. Our character is not naked anymore. Then additionally, we're going to see a lot of updates on VFX, on general animations, audio that is linked to that. Then I'm going to visit lore sites with you guys, which is quite exciting because they are an essential part of our event system, which is also something that is linked to the survival gameplay, repetitive content, or like repeatable content. Sorry, that's the better word in English. And lastly, oh no, actually not lastly, then I'm going to share with you some updates on the building system because we have new skins / new materials in the game. There is a super early version of stone buildings. And then lastly, because it came in today, I'm going to share with you a look at the adventure map. Super, super work in progress. But I'm going to explain a little bit what our adventure might feel like, what it looks like. If you want to know more about that, please spam Chris so that he can make good updates. Generally, excited to hear your feedback. I'll ask a lot of questions towards you guys throughout this presentation so that you can please take the time to answer on YouTube, go to our Discord, which is actually the preferred way of interacting with us, or maybe our Reddit, which is also brand new. But let's jump right into it. As I said, oh, also I have 20 minutes today, so I need to hurry. I already spent 2 minutes on the introduction. So yeah, 20 minutes. I promised Chris I will not go way above time today. 30 minutes. I think that will be fine. So you see our character is now wearing an outfit. This is not the earliest outfit you'll most likely wear in the game. This is basically a leather armor, as you see, super cool looking. We still have the same face. We're currently also working on different character models, so you can see other hedonists. You see how cool the neck plate is integrated into it. Because these neck plates, this golden thing is an essential thing for a hedonist, kind of the mark of being one and a very respectable sign of being a part of their, or like a member of their society. Looks super, super cool. Really nice to see the character not being naked anymore. I really love it. Also an exciting iron set coming in soon. Hope to show or share that with you next time. Then there's updates on animation. I'm going to go over here where you can see it very nicely. I'm going to show them from this perspective first. The animations are fine tweaked a little bit. Then you hear sound and you see some visual effects on the fighting. Like generally the combo finishers have it. You see some dust on the floor. This one not being fully finished yet. It does not have these effects. You see a huge difference. This feels much better. And you'll especially feel that once I go over here to fight this little Oropala. Also, peek your ears because you're going to hear that Oropala interact with us. Oh, this one actually, I just killed it, so, does not do the proper charge animations. As I said, typical alpha. Maybe this one is more willing to fight. I think I killed it once too often and it got stuck. How does this one feel about fighting me? As I said, that's the typical lagginess that sometimes occurs. But it works. This guy is charging up attacks. As I said last time, this is super early, but we're currently starting to fine-tune fighting, where you see that these guys charge up their attacks. Currently they are in a stagger mode. I'll try one that we find later to show that again. Additionally, on VFX, the whole gathering has been updated. It not only got sound, but you also see some VFX coming here, some effects which personally I think, especially if you look at the last presentation, makes a huge impact and shows how important these little tweaks are. It feels a lot less like slicing through water. Of course, clipping going on here, which is kind of normal in an online game, but still there's fine-tuning coming. Oh, now the music happens. I'm gonna turn down the in-game volume quite a bit because the music is intensely loud. Maybe even a little more, and then I'm gonna turn it back up later. Last thing I want to show you is the pickaxe and how it interacts with, where is it? Here it is. Also I have quite a good pickaxe already. Good that I played a little bit today. Where you can see that, oh, this is not a farmable rock. I'm such a rookie. Over there is one. I'm gonna walk over that. Which is also a good, there's iron even. I can show you the ores. Which is also a good way of showing, hey, this is something that is currently going on. We are doing a lot of tweaking, a lot of fine-tuning to prepare for alpha, which is, to stress that again, happening quite soon, actually, in about 2 months, no, even less, 1.5 months. Let me just tell myself it's 2, so I feel better. Yeah, here you see 2, like not final VFX in yet, but you at least hear some sound, I hope, over the music. As I said, again, sorry that the music is not turnable down, or like I can't turn it down, the audio engine is not in game yet, but you see some bumbling, some humbling, some things going on, super cool, I think personally, and also, maybe the music is a good way of going to the next part of this presentation, because what I would love to show you next is lore sites. Lore sites are not just decoration on our map. I'll just teleport to one. Let us start with the tall tree farm. German viewers might recognize this actually from the last pen and paper, as it was one of the locations that the guys ended up going to. I'll not show it immediately. I'll walk out of it so we can properly walk into it, because we placed it in a region with weather. Lore sites are part of the event system. Events are repeatable content pieces on the survival map. Let's just say you go to Piper's Whistle, for example, which is a town that we're going to see later, and Piper's Whistle is under attack, and you are asked to help fight the bandits. And in several steps of something that is kind of like questline-like, but not really. There's no quest log, there's no personal progress, or no one telling you to do all of this. It's more like you go to Piper's Whistle, you see that the windmill is on fire, you go over there and fight the bandits, extinguish it, then you're asked to please go to the graveyard and fight the ghosts of the people that are now like that are in turmoil because they were attacked by the bandits. Then they say, hey, these bandits, they just won't stop. Sorry, I have to mute my phone real quick. Then these bandits just won't stop attacking, so please go to the bandit camp and fight them there in the forest. We're actually going to see that bandit camp today. And that is how that happens in different steps, and it's closely linked to your town, which we're going to speak about a little later. Also, good reminder, watch the last one, I already said it. There's a lot of explanation what towns are. But tall tree farms. Let's walk into this. You also heard a little step in the rain already. This is a beautiful space. There's some blockouts here still. This farm basically is called Tall Tree Farm after that gigantic tree and the gigantic nuts it produces that this farm basically lives off. Also, the farmer living here has decided to keep some moss deer, which we renamed thanks to you guys. Super cool idea. They were once called Bryobuk, but the idea came up of renaming them to moss deer, which we really loved, so we did that. They are just like peacefully sitting here. Also interesting to see how the progress works, because you see that these fences are already here, quite a new thing, but you still see blockouts, and that is how we built this. Our artist, in this case Emmanuel, goes in, and after our level designers have set up a general layout of an area, or the position of an area, which also comes from a narrative designer, Emmanuel went in and just designed things, and when he does not yet have an asset, he just puts down, for example, a gray box for the house or for these troughs, I think, right? In English, where the moss deer can eat from, or that tree. But let us walk right in and actually let the picture speak a little more. Also, you see the beautiful cliffs that we made, super cool. I think somewhere here is also the new trees, because most of the trees you're seeing are still placeholders. Let's go up to the main house. Also, the music will stop soon, because damn, it is loud. This will be the farm. There's already some assets placed around it. These cliffs, super pretty. It's nestled in between the forest and the fields over there. I really, really like this view. Super, super cool. This is one of those nuts that's going to be here and farmable. Oh, I have to jump this little gate. Same here, some barns and sheds blocked out. Here's where the nuts are brought by the farmer. This feels a lot more alive than other parts of the map already. You see that someone actually put benches here where they can work. Once a nut is broken open, they probably put it in here. This is where they store the ones that they still want to work on as farmers. Yeah, super, super pretty. I cannot stress that again. If you are interested in these lore sites, please let us know. Would love to do extra little presentation on these where the artists and also the people that record these videos generally could go into the lore sites and present them a little better, show all the details, because I'm gonna rush over them a little bit after explaining what they are, because I'm almost running out of time. 10 minutes are already over, damn. Oh man, maybe we should need to do more of these presentations because we're making a lot of progress. Oh, the song is over, so I can turn up the volume a little bit. And there we are. Let me teleport to the next one, because there is quite some to share this time. We've already been to Tall Tree Farm. Oh, wait, does the last one not show up anymore? Maybe I have to reopen the menu real quick. That is an interesting bug. I never had that happen. How did that happen? Huh, interesting. Maybe someone took them out of the... But no problem at all. Here's the graveyard. Let us teleport there real quick. So this is a second one. We're close to Piper's Whistle now in a graveyard-like area. Let me again walk out and walk... Oh, this is new because we added like a mist fog effect here. Also, you'll see a lot of placeholder assets here that are just here to show what we're planning to do. So, Piper's Whistle being up there, of course... Most villages have graveyards. This graveyard being kind of a spooky area, you already see a little bit of a misty, foggy effect happening once we walk into it. That's also why you saw that little black mist on the ground, even though it looks kind of cool. Actually like it. Also a new asset here, built by our department. Actually, this is built by a character artist who did some environmental design. Helmut, our artist, made this one. Super cool. At night, you can even see them glow up. I think it's about to start being night, so we might see some of that. Yeah, this being the graveyard, you see a lot of the blockouts. As I said, part of this process being that we make these blockouts, we put them in, then we send out a request, or our 3D team sends out a request to the concept team, which then makes these gravestones happen in a way that they are needed. And then we revisit this area. And for example, yesterday, that revisit came to a super cool idea. You see that bone blockout of a gigantic creature that seemed to once roam here but died. And we're going to put the head of this creature as an element into this graveyard, where you can enter that head then and go below earth into the rib cage of the died creature and fight enemies there, do some things, make it more interesting. Again, this is part of the event system. This is not solely decorational. There will be things happening here in-game where you can interact with the environment and the event happening. Oh, looking super cool. Like really, really nice. I really, really like this, especially the mist effect as it's getting darker. Generally, we will put it... Ah, damn, it's getting night. Nice. Where it's like a little darkness, well, we'll wait another minute here. Which gives me some time to explain again the process. We basically have the survival map that we're currently on, Ambrose only right now, but we're already working on a second zone, which will most likely be the Liquid Meadows. That's where the Children of the Source live. Also kind of, I guess, an unofficial fan favorite, which surprised me, because I thought I like hedonists and steam dwarfs, but who am I? I just invented these things. But no, really, really cool to see that you guys already talk about things on Reddit, on our Discord. And yeah, then we basically design the map, we make these areas, and that allows us to get a better vision of things, to also introduce more people into the creative process. Oh yeah, now you can see things. Super cool, really, really nice and spooky. This will look so nice once these are added, all these graves, and oh damn, yeah, here's one of those nice lanterns. So cool, so pretty, really nice work by the artists here. Also, I love how the light interacts with the environment. Really great. Taylor, I guess he's not offended if I say our most senior developer, or sorry, our most senior level designer. Actually, Taylor does a little bit of everything because he's incredibly experienced, worked on things like Final Fantasy, actually, and not one of the later ones. Super, super cool to have him on the team. Really, really shows that he's really good with atmosphere on this one. But let me go to the next location, because actually I should be able to show more of them. Let's go to maybe the Twiceborn. Maybe we go to the Pompoyo colony, because then we can walk over to the Twiceborn camp. So, Pompoyo. They are basically very buff chicken. Gigantic, like chicken creatures. You'll see some of them already. There they are, sitting on top of these eggs that they are protecting. Let me see if I can jump up to one of them so that we can see it a little better. Maybe I'm able to climb one of these. But yeah, let me walk around a little bit. This being one of the colonies, because these are generally living in peace with headers. There is one. Super cool creature. Still will get a little bit of a rework, as we're not entirely happy yet with what they look like, even though they still look quite cool. So they can basically run away from their domesticated version, where they live in peace with the people that live in Ambrose, and then turn wild. And when they turn wild, they lay these eggs, and these eggs actually grow over time, together with the creature that's in them, and then at some point break, and they form these gigantic colonies that are all about which of them sits atop the highest stone or the highest position. Oh, I have to turn audio down a little bit again. Just give me a second to adjust my settings here. Actually, you can see my settings now. Turn down this a little bit. Basically living in colonies where the highest position is the most important. The biggest creature basically rules over this colony, and it's super, super interesting to see. More of a natural one, as you see, it's nestled into these really, really nice environments, into these cliffs. These cliffs, again, super pretty. One of the things that we are just currently introduced, and they replace a lot of the things on the map. I hope the night is soon. Oh, yeah. Oh, damn. Yeah, sun going up, seeing the blockout of Megalos, the gigantic, the eternal dinosaur. Or sauropod, the eternal sauropod, I think, is the super cool. But yeah, let us walk to the Twiceborn camp, as we're running out of time and there is still so much to show here. We're going to run past some Fatevere, pretty creatures, going to get some new animations probably, but already looking quite nice. Like kind of a mix of a swan and a deer. Will be kind of a peaceful but huntable creature in the game. This is the male version. Do we find a female somewhere here? Oh yeah, there it is. This is the female version. Super, super cool. As I said, animations are work in progress, but beautiful creature. Really, really nice work by the team here again. Let me walk over to the Twiceborn Gandit camp. It is a little hard to find, but maybe that gives me some time to explain the lore. The Twiceborn call themselves Twiceborn as they consider themselves outcast of the hedonist society. They are kind of rebellious teenagers, basically. They try to dress up cooler than all the others and show in every way possible that they are not part of what hedonists consider normal society. The result of that being that they consider themselves born again, basically. They live in a new society. They are not what they've used to be. But they terrorize the society that they despise, the hedonists in general. And this is their hideout in the forests. Super big area. It's kind of nestled again into the wilderness. We're in the middle of a forest. When I run around here, you'll see that there's more and more. A lot of blockouts here, mainly because we still haven't made those tents. We have made a lot of fabric, as you already see on these cool things that you see here. A little area here where you can potentially even have a crafting station for cooking later. So again, this will be part of the event system. This is not just to walk here and look at it. There will be enemies here. You can fight them. Maybe in some versions these enemies are gone and you have to go here and retrieve some of the things they have stolen. There's also like a hidden little path here. Super cool. And if you're interested in this, we can absolutely do a little video where we explain the creative process behind these, because it's super interesting how we even kind of make use of all different sorts of art, even AI that we generate by putting our own art into things, and where at some point was used for this. Super, super interesting to see how these come up from idea to actually be on the map, how a lot of them get scratched and thrown away, and how some of them end up being a lot bigger than they originally were, like the colony we just visited. Super, super cool. Nice, because it kind of starts showing that this world is coming to life a little more than it originally was. But again, there is so much that I have to rush a little bit. We're already at the 19-minute mark. Let us go to the Lover's Shire, as it is one of the bigger ones. And then last we go to the Unread Love Letter, because those are incredibly nice too. Where are we? Oh, we are right in the middle of it. This is again something that the German viewers might recognize from the last episode of the Pen and Paper. We actually built this after this episode, as it was not yet really flushed out. This is the Lover's Shire, again just a block out, but this is where young hedonist couples go to mingle. Kind of a toxic area almost, completely different herbal and floral environment than the other environments. You'll see different plants, as you see, super vertical, super cool. I'll run out of it in a moment just to show you how hidden it is from the surrounding areas, because you cannot see this once you walked into it, before you walk into it. Super cool, these paths nestled or like winding alongside the cliffs. I really, really enjoy this. Again, done by Emmanuel, this one. Super, super pretty, super, super cool. As you see from here, you can basically only see a little bit of different plants coming in, and then the area actually starts. I think there's another entry over here. Entrance, sorry. Let me just do that real quick. Also, this one will be integrated into the bigger event system. I'll do my best to explain that. Maybe actually next month is a good thing, because then the system is more flashed out, makes a lot more sense. Yeah, and then suddenly this opens up. Super cool. Up there will be a bigger area, not yet blocked out, but yeah. Then the boombox in the middle. Don't be confused by the term. It's again something from the German Pen and Paper. As I said, it still influences this world, as things that are spontaneously made up still can find their way into the actual lore of this world. Let me use the shortcut of jumping over here. Another thing I really like about this one, taking these neat little shortcuts. But yeah, sadly, not enough time to look at this even further. But it's beautiful view from here. Oh, let me turn up in-game volume a little bit again, as the music stopped. But yeah, so I want to show you so much. So let's go to the Unread Love Letter, as that is another one that I really want to show you guys. Super cool for its verticality. Basically, only this thing is the lore side. A tree that someone carved a love letter into that was never read due to very sad reasons. And then this whole area was designed, which is these cliffs, that bridge, and something that quite shows in a nice way. I'll just jump down here without dying because there is already fall damage in the game. I can also eat some berries to prepare myself for the fall. Super cool. The road kind of serpentining its way down here. Really, really nice. Really, really shows a lot of potential of these. Even if they are just more, this one being more decorational in its nature. Super beautiful, super fun to do. Yeah, it feels great to be down here, look up. And yeah, wonderful work. Again, I cannot stress enough, these cliffs are just gorgeous. I can't wait to have our own trees in the game. Some of these bushes, like these darker ones, those are the ones that we made in comparison to the ones on the left. Like these ones that I'm currently wiggling in, those are basically store-bought and just a placeholder. These are the ones that we made. Super, super much better. I'm a big fan of them. It's more in the style that we're aiming for. And yeah, once the trees are changed, hopefully for alpha, huge impact. These are just being here for scale. We need these so that our artists don't forget that the world is in scale to an actual playable character. Let me equip my sword again, I feel cooler. Yeah, super, super pretty, but as I said, we have to hurry a little bit. In this case, I will have to, I guess, I hope I don't press the wrong button. If I press the wrong button, the game might crash and then you will have a little cut. Because there is, oh, it's loading. Oh. Perfect, right button, no problem at all. So, I just pressed the button to go back to spawn because I want to show you the new part of the building system. I have prepared something for you guys. I have already set up a little stone house. For those who don't remember, you can see it in the last one, but let me super quickly build something with a wood system. As you see, super easy to use, quick. Also, I'm cheating so that I don't have to use resources. I just put this little marker out here, no problem, and suck. I don't need resources anymore. Just to show you, there's this system that we already had in place. You can put different skins of things. This is the wood skin. That was the first one that we put in the game. We're currently working on several others. Yeah, door frames, everything. And then we have just now built the stone one. Basically, there's a completely separate menu here with all the stone pieces. I just didn't want to go through the effort of showing them all of you. I made a nice house already where you can see it. Super early iteration, not entirely sure how much I like these floors. Please give us feedback about that. Super excited to hear what you think about them, because they are nice, but maybe they could be a little nicer. We will see. Also, like the visuals, as you see, there's different colors to things, like there's a darker and a lighter version. Yeah, feel free to give us feedback, would love to hear it. There is already some things that we already realized we want to change, of course, like these things clipping through, super early iteration. But it again shows how much you can do. This is basically fences that I switched around and put just a pillar in the middle to make them happen. Then up there I used them as actual fences for something like a little balcony. The roof is already there. It is quite nice. And again, you saw the blueprint system being in place. And something that does sadly not work. It worked yesterday, but we had to take it back out because it is quite early. This is the placeholder for a relay tower. The relay tower will be the center of a town. This is not the final asset, just a random stone we put in here that we bought. This will basically be the center of a town. This will claim all the things in this circle and say, this is mine. People cannot destroy the things anymore. They don't deteriorate, but it also starts town attacks. The system of towns is so big and so essential to our game that I cannot explain it in a few seconds. I did a lot of the explanation in the last one, but I will probably have to do a completely separate video where I explain nothing but towns and the nature of towns. Because it is so complicated if you haven't, because it's kind of a new concept, but not really. It's a mix of a lot of very well proven things. And I would love to take an extra video or to do an extra video and explain everything to you. But yeah, quick update on the building system. I'll show a lot more of that once it's finished in the next video. Just wanted to show you an update. There is new materials coming in. Again, the skinning is still in place. You can still go here and change colors of things, for example. There is also a lot more. Don't only watch this and assume, well, that's all I can do. Please take the time to watch the last video. I explain a lot more. And now, before we run out of time, because I'm already 6 minutes over, let us teleport to the adventure map. So, basically, adventures are fast-paced instance things that are multiplayer in their nature in most of the cases. And to be more concrete, in our first adventures, you will do a horde mode. If you've never heard of a horde mode in most games means a mode where several enemies spawn and run towards a certain center or towards you and try to kill you. And that is what this adventure will be. And here is a super early version of that game, of that mode. You will have a town center, also super cool how fast day and night cycle is for testing purposes. You will have a relay tower. You're basically going outside of the shield in this adventure. There's a town and you're sent there to reclaim resources. You and your friends go out there, other players, and you're matchmaked into a group and you go here. And then you have to defend this tower. There's 2 phases to this, basically a gather phase and a fighting phase. And in the gather phase, you can go to different locations. For example, that village over there, where you can gather specific resources. You could decide to go to these forests, to the mountains and find minerals there. Or you could go into the fields over there and farm resources that are more like based around the fields biome. These basically being different biomes. You already see some landmarks like that tree, that field, these mountain pikes that help you. And over there is other locations. That being a bandit camp. This is the village, and all the way back there you see a tiny little bit of tents, and this is a vendor. The idea of these adventures is that they are highly replayable. That means every time you join or in different seasons, their nature changes. In alpha, it is just this map. We just want to test it. It might not even make it into alpha, but then we'll test it latest in beta and would love your feedback. But the idea is that you play them and they change. Sometimes there's different locations, different maps later. Maybe that village is locked and you can't do it, or it's not here and something else is there. It's just an expedition outside of the shield. Oh, looking super cool. Even if it's not intended, that effect already, like these weird boxes, super interesting. Once you look away, they're gone. I saw that yesterday. But yeah, as I said, it's work in progress. Also, they are linked to the other modes of the game. Let's say and we can already walk over to that village. Let's say on the survival map, I found a key. I did an event, for example, where as a part of that, I went to tall tree farms and I went to the cellar and there was a hidden key. And that key is actually a key to the warehouse in this adventure. And this adventure will be 15 to 30 minutes. That's all you need. You go in, you have some fun, and then you can play it again. And you go home with some loot, some experience, and just the fun that you had playing it. But yeah, we bring this key, and maybe it unlocks a door somewhere in here, and it gives some extra loot. Or maybe you bring in a specific weapon that allows you to go to the bandit camp all the way over there. I'll actually activate a cheat so that we can go there faster, because we currently... Oh, it's kind of spooky now. I realized now, because I don't have teleport yet on this map. So maybe it gives you a specific weapon that you need to slay the bandit lord in the bandit camp over here. We put some bandits here as placeholders. The camp is not yet designed, and that allows you to weaken the enemy's attacks. And also, these enemies' attacks might look very different every time you play it. So for example, maybe they come down this path, maybe they come out of caves, maybe they come from somewhere completely different, or there's also different enemy types. And your objective would be to protect this tower as long as possible while gathering as much loot as possible. You build defenses around this tower. Maybe you decide to not build defenses. You and your team can change tactics, adapt them to the different circumstances you're confronted with in this, and then just enjoy it. And speaking of enjoying, I really enjoyed recording this little session. Let me position myself nicely so that it maybe looks a little... Oh, with this glow, super nice. I'll put the block out of the way. Oh, wait, I have to look away and back so that nice. I really enjoyed recording this. I am so sorry, Chris, that they always take much longer than time you've given me, but there is so many exciting things. That's why I'm speaking so fast. That's why I'm doing my best to show you all of this. Please feel free to ask questions. I know that sometimes I forget that you don't know as much about this game as I do. It is a survival game. The first map we saw is completely survival. You build your own town alone or with friends. You interact with other towns. You trade. You do events. You protect your town from the oncoming attacks of Sorgoth. And then you saw an adventure for the first time today, this map, where you can go in again and again with different people from other survival maps, from your own map, your friends, people that might become your friends, complete strangers, and play them again and again to gather loot, to have different things happen. We highly consider replayability of these things. And you haven't even seen Coreborn today, the social hub, which we'll hopefully be able to show next time with even more visuals in it, which is where you meet other people to trade with them, to play some mini games. There's a super interesting topic about mini games that started today on our Discord, where community members share their favorite ideas of such games, like even if it is a card game, a roulette, or a simple tic-tac-toe, basically. And that also leads me to the most important point. A gigantic thank you to everyone who's already on board. This week we hit 10,000 members on our Discord, which I cannot stress enough. Even that, if that seems like a small number in the current environment of gigantic influencers, to a little game like ours, an independent team that is gigantic in this early stage. We have not had a single playable version out there in the world. We only can play this game, or what you saw today. There is so much still that is ahead of us, and it's so cool to already have people to share these exciting new things with, to get ideas from, to be able to talk to about the things that we come up and to show them regularly. And if this is the first video you ever see from us, please take the time to join some of our socials. You will definitely not regret it. And worst case, just wishlist the game on Steam maybe. We're close to 10,000 wishlists already. Super, super cool. Would love to have a lot of people play this game early, take the time to give us feedback, join the alpha, join our newsletter. And yeah, thank you so much for your attention. Back to the call that I think you'll see my face from 1 day or 2 days ago again. But yeah, thank you so much for your attention. Can't wait to show you more in the next one. Maybe in between, maybe some updates, some questions towards you. What is the features that you would love to see in the next presentations? Would you like to see some separate videos on towns, for example, on fighting, on the vision that we have, on the things we can already show? What is the things that you would like us to talk about in the next feature? And also, is there ideas you currently have on the features that we already presented? Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you to all of you who have joined us today. It is a pleasure and an honor to get to know all of you over on the Discord. So do head there. As I said, if you want to know about that player alpha, head over to the Discord. This is the last one until 2023. Our next Q&A will be in January, and 2023 it's going to be a big year for Coreborn. Let me tell you, the alphas.
Oh, damn, yeah.
Yeah, alphas, betas, early access. We are hoping to hit a lot of milestones next year, and you guys will be a big part of it. So we appreciate you all being here and watching. I just wanted to say thank you very much to my guests here today. Thank you very much for taking the time out to do this for the community. You guys are greatly appreciated, because there's a lot to do. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for organizing it, asking and collecting the questions. You are as essential as anyone else on this team, even if you always try to make it sound different. Because I hope the community understands Chris is your voice. Basically, these questions is what he picks on your behalf, basically forwarding it to us. If you're happy, unhappy, or just want to talk to someone on the team where you feel like I can't reach them, this is the person you speak to, and he'll take care of it actually reaching the person it needs to reach. He forwards criticism in alpha. You'll be incredibly important. A lot of the opinions that are shared on the very early stage of the game will be incredibly important for the game design and everything happening. So thank you.
Hey, thanks very much. I wanted to say a big hello to the rest of the Blank Hands team, who may well be watching this right now. A big thank you to all of you.
They are watching this. Trust me, they have to watch this.
Nice.
I should say a random word, and who doesn't know the random word? There's let's say abracadabra. And I'll ask everyone individually right after the live stream what the secret word is.
There you go. Yeah. This wasn't a policy introduced by me, so remember that.
I introduced it. Yeah. Just so we're clear, I will not actually do that. I might for fun do it, but it will not have consequences if people...
Yeah, you guys could do whatever you want. And
so
I'll tell you
no one
why.
is ashamed of admitting they didn't watch it. It's not like people are like, oh no, I totally did. No, I didn't watch anything.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why, because they've been doing a ton of work, and everyone's been working.
That's true.
incredibly hard on the game over this last month. I know we've got a very busy year ahead of us next year, but these last few months have been crazy in terms of the work I've seen everyone doing. And I mean, I posted it as a tweet a little while ago, was sort of where a screenshot of where I started in September to where I was, and this was like last month, I think, maybe. And yeah, it's crazy the amount of progress that's been made in such a short period of time, and that is in big thanks to the team that we have. You guys are amazing and doing amazing work. Is there anything any of you would like to leave the community with before we go? You don't have to, because I've put you on the spot with that one.
Thank you, most of all. I think there's probably at this point, as I said, today I think we're going to pass the 10,000 people on the Discord mark, which is incredible for a studio at this stage. I don't know. Yeah, these numbers seem so small because of how influencers work today and what people are used to. But for a studio like ours, that is incredible.
Yeah, and especially from my point of view too, as being American outsider, did not know anything about Ultracore or the history coming into this. It's still wild to me how many people are in our Discord, how many people are watching our YouTube videos, how many people watch our TikTok. Like like to me, I'm like, oh, we're this thing that nobody knows about. But no, we're nearly 10,000 people on our Discord. That like, I'm regularly floored by that. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It's crazy, and the fact that there are people that I talk to every single day on our Discord. To me, I remember when I first started, I always wanted to make that point, like, guys, just so you know, this is very rare. Like, this is not where most studios are at this stage of development. Like, this is. Like I said, I can go on that Discord and start the day with which I will be doing after recording this. It's just, hey, how's everyone doing? And there's always people there. There's always people talking, and in spite of me leading any conversation, people will be talking just about stuff. So it's like, it's amazing. So yeah, thank you to all of you, the community, and that is it for this Q&A. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a very Merry Christmas. Speaking of which, if you celebrate it, enjoy it. We will see you all next year. Well, I'll see you right now on the Discord. I mean, if you're watching
let's be honest, I'll also reply to things, but let's just assume, let's assume we're taking the whole time off.
Yeah, why not? That's like, I'll see you all the time, constantly on Discord, so I'll see you there. But if you're only watching these Q&As, we will see you next month. Take care of yourselves, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.